It's starting to collapse.
Lord protect us.
Looks like blood. Now we know we're not alone. Sounds like somebody's screaming. Ringing the bell. Some crazy. Here we go, Zaddy. Woo! Okay, no. That's police right there. Let's get the fuck out of here.
All right. And we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to the official Condition Orange podcast. This is our third one. We're going to be talking about the naval base today. I am joined by my co-host,
Oscar.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about the naval base. We're talking about part one because there was just so much that happened.
Oh, yeah.
That we had to split it up into two parts. It's just so much footage, so much cool shit happened. But yeah, we're going to start right off with sort of the very beginning for us. So this was our first destination that we hit.
On our New Orleans trip, yeah.
Yeah, and we had to drive close to 10 hours from, from where we live.
Somewhere in the northern south.
Yeah. And so super long drive, nearing the end of the day. We're already exhausted from having to drive all day. Then we sort of finally get out there, and our first reaction to getting out there was just like, it was super cool. We just saw so much abandoned along the way.
Yeah.
But we were still super nervous because the last time that we explored together, or explored at all in general,
was the Atlanta trip.
Was the Atlanta trip we made.
Yep. And the last video for that was presidential.
It was Presidential Hotel.
Yeah.
Where we almost got caught.
Yeah.
So we're going into this Explorer, literally almost getting caught by police and almost ending our career before it began.
I think we had like 86 subs back then.
Yeah. We were like, oh no, please.
And you know what? Just for the record, because this will be cool to come back to. So we had 86 subs, give or take, right around then. Now we're at, 456 in this exact moment?
Yeah.
So by the time this drops, it'll be cool to compare it, as time goes on. But nonetheless, we got there. This place was massive, but we were completely on edge. We were like, oh, this looks awesome. There's a bunch of abandoned stuff around New Orleans as we were getting closer to the Navy base. And I just remember pulling up to it and we, parked to get a better look. And I was just like, whoa, this is something else that we had not done before at that point.
Right. Like on the map, it didn't look as big. And I feel like, no matter where you go, it always looks bigger in person.
Right.
But I wasn't expecting it to look that big.
No.
Because as far as a military base goes, it looks a lot smaller than most that I've seen.
Yeah.
But I didn't take into account the fact that most that I've seen look small on a map and are massive.
Yeah.
And this one, was no exception. It was definitely massive.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
But it was just scary, too, because we went from a hotel almost getting caught by police to a military base. And it was like, just the thought of it being a military base was just super daunting and,
oh, yeah.
just very scary for us.
Yeah.
And so
definitely.
We drove around a few times, which is already sketchy. It's something you don't want to do when you go to a place, is you don't want to drive around too many times, because if there is security or if someone thinks you look sketchy or suspicious, they'll just call the police.
Right. Which, unbeknownst to us, we didn't realize it at the time, when we got to New Orleans, because we were still anxious off the Presidential Hotel thing. But
right.
Man, we should not have been worried at all, because, at the time we didn't know it, but New Orleans was going to be our first, welcome to Urbex.
Welcome to Urbex in a land where you really don't have to worry about police and security.
It's amazing. God.
Which is almost like the dream of urban exploration, because every time you go somewhere, it's always like, oh shit, security, oh shit, police. And you get here and you think, because there's more abandoned, part of me thinks there's more abandoned, so that should mean that people are not going to care as much.
Right.
But when I went on my 10-day trip to Chicago, people cared more, and there was way more abandoned than there was in New Orleans.
Right.
So I wonder if it had anything to do with the hurricanes.
It's got to, right? I mean, New Orleans has such a large homeless population, and it's just struck. It gets struck by natural disasters so often that, it's hard to imagine a place where they crack down on people getting into abandoned buildings where they're just seeking shelter. So, but like I said, we didn't know that at the time, and so we were super on edge, high alert. But we found out pretty quick that everybody and their mother was in this place. Just about. It felt like.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we were so close to residential buildings, and I mean, we stopped at this liquor store to try to get our special juice for the trip.
Yeah.
And
the unofficial sponsor of Condition Orange.
The unofficial, unfortunately. Hey, who's the company that makes that alcohol we're talking about?
Ooh.
Who makes Fireball?
That's a good question.
I don't know, but whoever makes, can you look it up real quick?
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna be your discount Jamie right here.
Discount Jamie. Little reference to JRE right there.
Man,
big podcast.
The world leader in podcasts.
We'll get on JRE one day.
Oh, I hope so. After all of our trips in between and before Chernobyl, but I think Chernobyl is really gonna launch it.
I'm so excited for Chernobyl.
So apparently it's made by the Sazerac company.
All right, whatever. We'll just call it Fireball.
Yeah.
All right, so whoever. Sorry, I hit the.
I thought somebody was breaking into the studio.
No. So the creators and I guess the makers of Fireball.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, just letting you know, we'd be a perfect sponsor.
Hey, apparently it's a Canadian whiskey, so I don't know if the company owns it as Canadian, but if so,
hey, we're pretty close to Canada.
Yeah, well, and they're super nice people supposedly. So, hey, come on, Fireball, help us out.
We'll hook you up every video.
Yeah, I wonder what else they make, but we can look that up.
But anyway, so just that the area around the base just seemed like normally the best conditions for an explorer is a big city, not too out like by itself, because then so you want it around other places, and you want it to be busy but not too busy, because if there's no one around, then there's chances that the security and police presence is going to be higher, because I know people are going to be more going out there. So you want
like Cersei.
Yeah, and you don't want it too busy, because then there's going to be police just generally patrolling the area that'll catch you. So you want it a little in between. In this place, we thought it was just way too heavy with people. Then we realized it's New Orleans, and nope, that's just New Orleans.
Yeah. And what was cool is as we were driving along the front of this place, we noticed a couple of potential entries, right? Holes in fences or cracks or weak parts of the fence that could be easily jumped over. But as we drove by on the second go-round, I think we noticed on the first, but definitely on the second, we noticed that the front gate, the original front gate of this place, was completely wide open. There was no locks. There was no security. I mean, we saw people walking by the front of the gate who could have just easily walked in at any point. And so that calmed us a little bit. But even so, just to testify as to how on edge we were, as we were walking through the front gate of this place, it was completely just nonchalantly, abandoned, unattended by any sort of security or police presence. We were still looking out for potential trail cams or anything, which we should have known at the time that was not going to be a threat. But it doesn't hurt to be on guard. That's true. Even if nothing else, or there is nothing to be worried about. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be super comfortable and get caught off guard. It's better to be the other way. Besides us thinking it was a sketchy area and it happened to not be too sketchy, I wouldn't say it wasn't super safe, because there is an active part of that area, with the actual Navy ships that are not abandoned. They're actually in use, and so there's a security guard who's armed, because it's a military piece of land still. So, the port. But no, I think so. That leads right into us actually getting into the place. So we go into these open gates.
And then right, like the second we come in, we got this homeless guy on a bike driving down the parking garage, and I'm like editing the footage back.
Yeah.
And he comes down, and then he stops, turns around. He's like, "No, I gotta do that again." And he turns around, and he just looks so hilarious. It's definitely going in the blooper reel. Well, actually, by the time this comes out, it will have already been in the blooper reel.
Cool.
But it's just, it was hilarious. It just caught me like completely off guard, because this dude, like, you just see a grown ass man, you think he's just gonna be like being an adult, but nah, he was just like a kid. He's like, "No, I gotta do that again." Like when you're a kid and you're like, "Oh, I didn't go fast enough. I gotta do it again."
Dude, that's hilarious, because I almost forgot about that. So once we saw that, we kind of settled in a little bit better. But then also, you know, once we kind of tucked ourselves away and we're ready to pop the drone and get some of the drone footage, before we got to that point, we heard a vehicle behind us.
Yeah, I remember, I mean, right before I even popped the drone, I thought, okay, you know, I'll be able to, you know, take a leak here real quick. And as I'm, you know, in the middle of it, this white car drives up, and we're like, what the hell? So I had to pinch it off and just be like, all right, let's go. And at this point, we had already set up the drone. We had already got everything ready. So I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Let's load everything up, you know. And of
Yeah.
course, we're on edge from, you know, the hotel. So we were thinking the worst.
Right.
Turns out it was nothing. It was just, who knows? Maybe
Honestly,
some people unloading trash, or maybe people were just like, oh, I wonder what this is, you know? Like,
yeah, it was weird, right? Because we didn't know it at the time, but they had parked in like this kind of little bit covered up area with a little bit of brush by it. But, you know, we were like, okay, we didn't hear it anymore. We didn't see the car. So you pop the drone up, you're getting footage. And while we were sitting there getting footage, the mosquitoes, because of all the sitting water, and we were right by the river, were just eating us alive. And I was like, dude, should I go back to the truck for the mosquito spray? So
I was trying to act like I didn't notice it at first. And then I got the controller for the drone.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I have to hold my hands completely still to fly this drone. And these mosquitoes were just like, oh, this is a buffet.
Welcome to Louisiana. All you can eat mosquito buffet.
All you can eat buffet. And we're just sitting here, and it's like, okay, no. So
Yeah.
had Oscar go back and get the
Yeah, and so what was weird is as I went back to the truck, I have the footage. I don't think we included any of it, but
No.
maybe one day, if we get enough, you know, followers and people who support us, we'll put some exclusive footage on a Patreon or something. But
Absolutely.
on my way over to the truck, saw the white car that came in, and honestly, I think that it was a couple, and they pulled up to maybe smoke a little bit, you know, in a private secluded
Scoping
spot.
out the area, seeing if it was good enough to, you know, well,
Yeah, I think so.
go to Pound Town real quick.
Perhaps. I think, honestly, I think they were just trying to find a place to smoke. But, you know, grabbed the spray, came back, and we were good after that. You know, got all the shots we needed. And that was when, I don't even think we even realized it at the time, there were 2 Navy ships there. We thought it was just one big one at
When
the
we first
time.
came, yeah, we thought it was one.
Yeah, and so once we got the footage we needed, we still hadn't realized it was 2 ships instead of just one big one. And I think that's at that point is when we found an entry into the first building that we arrived at.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that one ship looked kind of weird when I was, you know, flying the drone around, but I still thought it was one ship at the time. But anyway, so we get in, we get our drone footage. We're like, all right, cool, we're all set. Like, we don't got to worry about that. That's generally, you know, that generally seems to be the issue when we explore a place is, do we hit it with the drone first? Because sometimes, you know, in the past, we've hit it with the drone first, and then we can't get into the place, so we just wasted our time. Or do we wait till we're inside and attract attention? Or do we wait till afterwards? Because if we wait till afterwards, what happens if we have to run out and there's security and police? We have to get out of the area, so we can't get that footage.
Yeah, I mean,
So
we could run into police in the middle of it, which would prevent us from getting the shot. The conditions of the weather could change. It could be daytime when we go in, nighttime when we come out. So there's a lot that goes in there. I think that the perfect middle area is once you get in, you kind of get a feel for it and get the drone footage when you can while you're in.
Yeah,
which
if
is
you feel
a little
it's right. If not, you can always come back another day and just be like, whatever,
Yeah.
even if the
Which
the
we've done
weather's
before.
changed.
But I definitely think that if you can do it at the same time, that's the play.
It's the most ideal.
Yeah.
And this happened to be like the most ideal circumstances almost ever. I mean, we got to do everything we wanted to do for as long as we wanted it. Didn't get hurt, didn't have to run from police, but still had a crazy, like, adrenaline-filled experience because of all the stuff we saw and the people we met.
Yeah.
And so we'll get into that, but so getting into that, we're exploring. We get to the first building. We don't see a whole lot. There's like an elevator. Then we climb up some stairs. Then we're going through some of the old barracks buildings. It definitely had to be a barracks. I mean, I saw this recreational room, which, by the way, we were in the military, so it came sort of natural to us. But essentially, in a barracks building, you're gonna have, of course, you're gonna have a bunch of dormitory style rooms, like if you were in college.
Right.
There's gonna be a bunch of these dorms. Sometimes you get them by yourself. Sometimes you have to share them with two people. I remember when we were in the Marine Corps, we had to share. At one point, we had to share with 3 people. We had our own bathrooms, but we had to share with the room next to us. So we were sharing a bathroom with 6 people.
6 people.
So it might as well have just been a community bathroom with the whole freaking place. But anyway, this place seemed to have matched a similar experience that we've had with barracks when we were, deployed to other countries, where, you have this barracks building which has all these rooms. It doesn't have the cafeteria inside of it, or the mess hall, or the chow hall, is like we like to call it, but it did have this, this rec center.
Right.
And so we noticed that right away. There was a TV, there was a bunch of pillars. It looked like a bunch of space for couches and TVs, and essentially it was just this, hangout area that no one ever used. But
yeah, and in that building, wasn't there an exercise room in the same building, or was that in the other building?
No, it was a fitness
yeah,
center.
so that blew my mind. I was like, these lucky sons of bitches, bro, for real, that they just, have their room right there. It's like, oh, I'm gonna hit the gym. You don't gotta walk halfway across the base to get to a gym. These guys had it built in. It's just,
Yeah, that must have been super nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing, people that aren't military, like, each branch gets a different budget, and the branches that aren't as, I don't want to say supported, but that the government
better
decides,
funded,
better funded. So, the Marine Corps isn't as funded as, let's say, the Air Force, which has the most funding.
The funding is less than 1% of the defense budget, but we're not going to get into a political stream here, but nonetheless, it takes up virtually zero. In the
right, so we're seeing this, and we're seeing,
yeah.
there's a fitness center, a gym, there's a rec center, there's all these. I mean, it was a massive barracks building. That alone was like enough.
And that was just one.
And so I didn't even think about this. There was a parking garage attached to the barracks.
Man.
We didn't know. We had parking spots, and the parking garage was for like the business buildings in the center of the base,
right.
Which actually was where the Navy barracks were. Remember that? Where we were deployed?
Oh,
right across the street.
Yep.
They had just built them, but yeah.
Yeah.
So we never got so lucky. But anyways, I could go off on a tangent.
Oh, of course. We already are a little bit.
A little bit. But anyway,
we'll reel it back in,
It was super cool to see sort of the similarities, between the bases we've been on and this base. It was cool.
For sure.
Because, like, we have some experience on base, on military bases, so we actually have some, sort of expertise with this. So it's cool to see the barracks, the rec area, and the gym. But we knew, after seeing that, okay, that's it.
Yeah, there wasn't much. It was pretty gutted. There wasn't much left. Found some papers.
We did find the VCRs.
Yeah, VCRs. An old like coffee room or what have you. Had an old protein bucket.
And the place actually closed down, I think, between 2008. Hollywood, which we'll get to in another video, said that it closed down in 2008, but it actually, I was watching the Proper People's video, which, by the way, I actually didn't even know that the Proper People did a video on this when we did this. Yeah. We actually tend to like do all our own research and not really look it up online to see if anyone else has done it.
No, for real.
And then afterwards we go back and we're like, oh shit,
they already did.
The Proper People did it already.
Yeah.
But it's like,
the good part about it though is our styles are a lot different. You know, theirs is a little more slow rolling. They get a lot more detail, a lot more cinematic shots of like, you know, items and landscapes. And mine and yours is
it's almost like a different subject. It's like, you know, science versus history, you know, where they're like super history and we're, well, maybe science isn't the best.
I was going to
maybe
say,
it's
we're like PE, bro.
Maybe PE. Maybe it's, yeah, exactly. Maybe it's, you know, PE versus history. They're just like in the books, slow shots.
Yeah.
They give you all the commentary, and we're just like.
And you and myself are like, 350-foot smokestack going up.
Going up right now. Yeah. We're climbing that.
So it is weird how that turns out, though, because we really don't. I mean, we'll go back and look for extra information. I feel like it happens when we're looking for the information to talk about when you're doing your voiceovers and giving information. You probably are searching stuff, Google searching stuff, and it pops up, oh, there's a video already done here. Which is fine, because the styles are completely different. I think it's refreshing because I feel like if you watch their stuff, you get a good take from a different angle. If you watch our stuff, you're like, whoa. You know, you get another take from a completely different point of view. So I think it's complementary. I don't think that it detracts from one another.
I really try to include enough information just to give, you know, people like sort of like a taste of what the place was, but not too much. I want them to know what the place is about, but I don't want to spend the whole time explaining the place. Right. You know, I want them to know and then be like, this place is cool, and then we do some of the craziest shit that you can possibly do at this place. You know, like if you saw a smokestack and you're like, oh, I wonder what it would look like on top. We're going to do that. We're going to get up top and we're going to show you. You know, whereas, you know, the proper people may have skipped out on, I'm not saying they have, but I'm saying they you know, they might have skipped out on certain stuff because of danger, and we're just like, that's what we live for. We live for that, like, that thrill and that rush, and we love it. So we're going to do it. Yeah,
and you'll get I mean, you want to know what the top of the smokestack looks like, watch our stuff. If you want to see what every single item on the desk in a lab, like, for example, at like Knoxville College or something, then go watch their stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to detail every individual item on a table, or, you know, this
exactly.
Stuff, it's just different.
It's just different. And they're both great. I mean, I love watching the proper people's videos. When I'm in the mood for history, and when I'm in the mood for action, I'll watch Shaye, because Shaye happens to, you know, climb all this stuff and do all this crazy shit. So like, it's just those, and we try to incorporate a little bit of both. Yeah,
and we have our own spin. I think that in this world we get caught up in competition a little too much. I think that because the styles are so different, I think each video, if all three of us, you know, like Shaye, proper people, us, whatever, we can't even compare ourselves to the level because we're not there yet. But I know that one day we will be. I have no doubt about that. You know, our footage is good. Your editing ability is amazing, and it's only getting better. But I think that it can be complementary. I think that everybody has a little bit different way of showing or telling the same story. And I think it could be beneficial to watch every single different way of telling the same story, because it gives you a bigger picture. So, you know, kind of went off on a tangent there. But, you know, the parking garage. So we're in there.
Right. So.
Find the catwalk.
But no, I agree with what you're saying. You know, I think that it's important that if you're super interested on a subject, you know, the proper people are going to give you everything you want to know about everything, you know, and then, you know, like Shaye has his own thing, we have our own thing. Like, I respect each and every individual that does this. And I like support them, and I wish the best for everyone. You know, everyone has their own thing.
It's an art form.
It's an art.
It's an art form. The way you paint the picture.
If you like our art, you know, I absolutely appreciate, you know, you checking out our stuff. If you like theirs, you know, like, I'm not going to diss on anyone that likes Shaye, and it's not a competition. It's just, you know, it's entertainment, exploration, and like, you just, you watch what you watch. I mean,
I mean, it's the way we're going to bring it to you. I mean, just because you like hip hop doesn't mean that you can only listen to, you know, Eminem.
Yeah.
You're going to listen to other hip hop,
exactly.
R&B, rap artists. It's the same thing. Every artist has their individual thing to bring to the table, and I think that's a perfect way to put it.
No, I agree. So before we go, you know, too far off on that, let's reel it back like you tried to do a minute ago, and I continued it on. So we're in the parking garage. We took a little detour for Oscar. He had to
Answer the call of nature.
Answer the call of nature. We'll leave it at that. And anyway, so we get done with that, and we're like, all right, now our goal is we're going to get to the water tower. So we walk up, I think 1 or 2 flights of stairs in the parking garage area.
Yeah.
And we get out. I remember walking out of the stairs, and I'm like, immediately I'm just like looking around.
Yeah.
And then the second you come walking up, I'm sort of like waiting for you, but the second you come walking up.
Yeah, I was gonna say my slow ass was still trying to get up the stairs.
Right. Yeah, so we come walking up, and then like maybe 2 seconds after you walk out of the door, it's just like this bang. And we're like, and we knew it came from the catwalk. We didn't know if it was below or above the catwalk.
I had no clue.
And
it just sounded like it was on top of us.
I think me being a little bit closer, but also me like having been out there a little bit longer than you because you just came out of the stairs, maybe you were a little bit disoriented. I knew exactly like what I was like. That was above the catwalk, and that was like 10 feet from us. I was like, that was so close. I was like, who the fuck?
Yeah.
And are we in trouble? Like, what the fuck's happening? It was too loud to be like a creaking pipe or like water dropping or anything.
Right.
We knew it had to be someone, you know. And then, you know, Oscar's like, you know, who was that? And I'm like, fuck, I don't know. And then you're like, oh, it sounded like it was from down low. And I was just like, I figured it was not from down low, but I was like, I don't know. Let's figure it out. And then
I had no clue.
So we walk to the edge.
Yeah.
We're looking down. We see nobody. And then you look up. I'm pretty sure you catch it. You look up and you're like, oh, they're right there.
Yeah, right on top.
And so there's, I only saw one girl, but I think, did you see both of them?
I can't recall. I definitely saw one person. I guess I just probably assumed that they weren't by themselves, you know?
Right. So. Yeah. I saw a girl standing up. I think that was Meg, maybe.
Yeah.
Because she seems to be,
Is that Laura Croft?
Yeah, Laura Croft. She seemed to be like just ready to like jump off of the top of a building, not knowing if she was going to make it because it was fun. Like, and yes, we saw that. And we sort of waved. We didn't want to yell.
Yeah. It was funny. When we waved, it's funny. Because of the gear that we wear, when we wave at people or make our presence known, we're all blacked out. We're wearing very, you know, comfortable and gear that, you know, has us prepared to, you know, sharp objects, you know, climb stuff. We have gloves, we have our boots on. And so it can be off-putting for certain people when we make our presence known. And that's definitely what happened. Because we waved and they were like, who the fuck are these guys? And a lot of people will actually go the other way. Like, you know, when we were at the football stadium, we went up there and even introduced ourselves. And those kids were like, nah.
I mean, they stayed there. Yeah. But you're right. That was something I was worried about. So I was like, I was thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, I want to yell. Part of me thought, you know, what if somebody hears this? But I was sort of already comfortable because of everything that's happened. I was mainly not wanting to yell because I wanted to meet them without scaring them.
Right.
And I knew that we looked like security or police from far away. Who knows?
Yep. Because we're all blacked out, man.
All blacked out. And I think it helps us, but I think it really only helps us against, like, people that we, like, random people we'd have to worry about. Yeah. Police, it doesn't help us against police or security. Because they know we're not police or security.
Right.
But against random people, I think it does. You know, you see two people wearing all black, you know, we're tall, we're big, we're not, you know, we got all this equipment on us, so that could mean we're security guards, it could mean we're police, obviously we're cameramen, you know, and we just explore. Yeah, but they don't know that. Right. And so I'm like immediately like, all right, let's wave. Then we decided to walk, you know, to meet them.
Yeah. So I think we walked through the second building, right? We walked through it? We were in the first.
We were in the parking garage, which was the second building.
Okay, gotcha.
And we walked on that catwalk because, remember, that's when you said, oh, I don't like this. Something feels wrong.
Yeah, the floor felt like it was squishy or moving or something.
Right. I don't know. It didn't feel like it for me, but maybe I was just so, like, tense from seeing them that I was like, I couldn't think of anything else but, like...
I'm heavy, man. That's all I think about. Is this floor underneath me, you know?
Which is funny because you are way more ballsy when it comes to walking on floors that are unstable than me, and I weigh less than you.
Yeah. I don't know.
You want to tell us a little bit about why you're not afraid to fall through the floor?
You know,
Because you should be more.
I should.
And
I should.
maybe this is why. I was never afraid to walk through the floor or walk across the floor,
I know
any
what you're about
floor.
to say.
I didn't care. I was like, it's whatever. We're fine. We're invincible. It's never going to happen to us. Well, here's why that's wrong. It can happen to you, and it will happen to you because it happened to me. And trust me, I was on top of the world. We had done so many explorers and all this stuff, and it happened to me, and I never thought it would. I always thought like, that's stuff that happens in the movies. All that happens to them. It's not going to happen to me. What are the odds? And then it happened to me.
Yeah, until it
If you've
does.
seen the ad, if you've watched the I Fell Through the Floor video, you know that.
Hold on, and I'm going to cut you off right there. Hold that. And if you haven't seen the I Fell Through the Floor video, go see the I Fell Through the Floor video. That was one of the earlier videos that we did in which you were like really developing your editing style and before the new intro and this and that. It is a good video, and I think it outlines pretty well how we go about our trips because of how long it is. It lets people in a little bit, but definitely go check that out. But if you haven't, now you know. There you go. Continue on. Sorry.
Right. So no, I appreciate that. Absolutely. It took me so long but besides all that, I think it's a good video. I mean, we were establishing our editing style. I hadn't fully established it yet. That's not what I wanted to go for. But I didn't know that at the time. Now I know. I may go back later and make it better. Who knows?
Right.
Hint, hint. But no, definitely. We were feeling on top of the world. We had just got into this massive place. Mm-hmm. We just explored all of it. There was security. They were roving. There was cameras. There was locks on every door.
Got into parts that were locked or secured.
We found keys to certain buildings that we shouldn't have, and it was crazy without getting caught. Yeah. We're at this building, we're walking out, and I'm walking out, and I'm like, all right, we're almost there. I'm literally two steps from the door.
Missed that beam.
And it's concrete floor. I'm two steps away where it would have been concrete floor, and we would have been perfectly fine.
Right.
We knew the building was unsafe, but we knew the floor was crumbling and ready to fall, and we're like, that's fine. We'll step on the beams. And so I couldn't have been more confident, like 110% confident that the next step I was taking was a beam. I couldn't have been. I watched the footage back like 6 times and was like, that was the fucking beam. What the hell happened?
I was shocked. I was looking away. I looked back as you were falling.
And wouldn't you know, of course, obviously, it wasn't the beam. But it's because that specific part in the floor, the beam...
Were they offset?
They offset.
Yep.
And I missed it by like 3 inches. And I fell all the way through the floor. Luckily, I didn't hurt myself. Luckily, your pelvis stopped your fall.
Luckily,
my pelvis, exactly. And the equipment we have and the gear that we have on,
right.
Shielded me from getting cut or worse. Maybe I wouldn't have caught myself. Maybe I would have fell like 3 stories. Who knows?
Yeah.
Because every story below us was the same condition. It would have happened. And maybe I would have been impaled by wood. Watch the video because there is so much. That building we were in, like 5 feet to my left, it was literally the building collapsed like 3 stories, and there was wood everywhere. And if you would have fallen on that, you would have died easily, impaled by, Anyway.
So, and for that reason is why we were so sketched. Well, I was so sketched out when we were crossing this catwalk because we've been burned before.
We've been burnt before, and I think I was so worried about what was about to happen with the people that I didn't realize anything else. And that's why it's good to have, I think that's why it's a really good idea to have 2 people.
Absolutely.
Because if one person is just tunnel vision on one thing, the other person it's perfect because they can be like thinking about all the stuff that you're not thinking about.
Yeah, and we usually do. We're a pretty good combo. Some of the stuff you think about, I don't think about, and vice versa. So yeah, definitely have a buddy with you because I think it's like diving, honestly. If you ever go diving, never dive without a buddy. I think it's the same for urbex or any other high risk activity. You got to have a second pair of eyes. So
I mean, I think it's just in general. I think we learned that from the military, and maybe it's just subconsciously it just stuck with us. But have a buddy in life, because anything can happen anywhere at any time. Yeah. And it's always better to have two people. People are intimidated by more than one person because they think, oh, it's one more person I got to deal with.
Right.
But anyway, sorry about that. So we get through this catwalk, walking through the hall, we make it to the stairway, and so we get up to the roof. It's this massive roof. And this is when we first realized that there's a water tower on every building.
Every single building.
Which is a good thing we realized it then, because we wouldn't have probably met Meg or Micah if we had gone to the other ones.
Yeah. We
so
saw another couple on the middle building.
Right, but we didn't see that till after we came out of the water tower.
Right. Yeah.
So we get up. I think at this point you're still in the stairwell fixing your belt or something.
Yeah. Can't remember what I was doing.
Right, but I get up. You're not far behind, walking across. And then I didn't see them at this point. I just saw the water tower, and I was like, I know they're here. Maybe they left. I was like, fuck. So I'm like, fast walking all the way. Like, I need to get there, but like, wait, I need to make sure. Like, we're not trying to be like I wasn't trying to be weird. The reason why the moment we see people, we want to make sure that they know we're fine and we know they're fine, is because if you see somebody and you assume that everything's okay, you don't know 100%. You could possibly run into them later. They could actually be sketchy. They could be trying to find you the whole time. So when I see somebody, no matter what we had planned, it just so happened that they happened to be on the water tower. But if they happened to be on the first story, it would have been like, okay, we need to go see them first, because we need to make sure that they know we're not a threat and we know they're not a threat.
Right.
And so that was another thing. And then we happened to get around. They were climbing the tower. Mm-hmm. Remember, we walked around the corner. Yep. And that's when you said your
I was like, you like Laura Croft, Tomb Raider. She had the ponytail. She was wearing like the cutoff shorts, like a tank top. I was like, man, PlayStation 1, I had like Tomb Raider 2 and Tomb Raider 3. And I was just like, that's Laura Croft right there.
That's Laura Croft.
But I didn't know if she knew what I was going to say, like if she understood or got the reference. So I was like, yeah, no offense, but I'm about to give you the best compliment of one of the most badass women in fantasy.
That's why when you said no offense, I was editing back. I'm like, that is not offensive at all. That's like the biggest compliment you could ever give anyone. I mean, a girl that is badass and sexy and like just the coolest, the coolest chick you could ever.
Dude, I wanted to be Laura Croft when I was a kid. I'd be like, shit, let me get my booty shorts and go.
Let me get my booty shorts. If I was a girl, I would be Laura Croft.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I'm gonna need some Botox to get those Angelina Jolie lips, but
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, Tomb Raider is one of my, I think, one in my top 5 inspirations for wanting to do airbags in general. So
yeah, I think you mentioned that to me once before, but kind of forgot. But yeah, it makes sense. I used to love it. I was terrified of that dinosaur episode.
Still love it. I was editing the other day, and I was like, all right, time to take a break, and I was like contemplating buying the new game. But then I got like Uncharted and Assassin's Creed and all these other games I'm trying to. But anyway, let's not get into.
No, I think I said episode. And the reason why I said episode is because there's a video cut there when a dude gets eaten by the Tyrannosaurus Rex in Tomb Raider 3. Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah. So that's a good idea.
But,
so we meet them. She realizes that we're complimenting her, and she's like, "Oh, Tomb Raider, yeah." She's like, "Is that a good thing?" And we're like, "Yeah."
Oh yeah.
And then I guess she understands that we're complimenting her. And so then we tell her everything's fine with us, and she says the same thing. So we climb up, we're talking for like 5-10 minutes, and we're talking about going in the water tower. She wants to. She has never been on a water tower before. Her name was Meg, and I think her friend was Micah.
I think so.
So we're on the water tower, and we're talking, and she's like, I want to go in. And I'm like, just be careful because, the air quality might be, next to nothing.
Yeah.
and we don't know. We've been lucky so far, but the last thing I want is for something bad to happen. We're in the area, and we can't do anything to help you, and we're just watching this scenario unfold without being able to do anything, which would be horrible. I was telling her all this stuff, and then as we're kind of hanging out talking, we realize there's like holes everywhere in this water tower, and we're like, okay, that's actually really good.
Yeah.
And then so we didn't include this in the video because it kind of just jumps from that's not a good idea to who's going first, right?
Yeah, she was all about it.
She's all about it.
The way it was cut in the video was really funny. I laughed when I saw that.
She's like, I'll go first.
Yeah.
And we're like,
you can die. She's like, I'll do it.
I'll die first. Right after talking.
She's like, fuck it.
Right after talking about we can't do anything.
Right.
That
was funny cut.
Like, okay.
Yeah, all for it.
No offense, Meg. No offense, but no, definitely. And then we go in, and I thought you were going to be less of an issue than Meg. I knew Meg was excited, but I thought she wants to, but maybe she'll freak out when she's in there. I knew Micah wasn't going to because she was just like super.
Well,
but it's completely understandable.
I've yet to go into a water tower. You went into it.
Right. And not to mention,
my head in.
And not to mention, we were doing everything in our power, and not on purpose, but to scare Micah to not want to go. We were talking about all the bad shit that's happened to us.
Yeah.
Everything that could happen, all this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And she's already like, I don't know if I want to go. And so completely understand why Micah didn't want to go.
Right.
I wish, but who knows? Maybe she would have had a panic attack in there. Maybe it was a good thing she didn't come in.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, so we get down in there, and it's massive. It was way bigger.
Yeah.
It was way bigger than the other water tower.
It looked way bigger on the inside than it did on the outside.
And so we went to another water tower after the naval base. And so that's the one we're referring to.
Yeah.
We can talk about it because it happened before the recording of this podcast.
Yeah.
So the naval base water tower was much bigger than the other one we did.
Yeah.
I wonder if it had to do with the slant.
Maybe. It was way less. It was a flat bottom.
It was flat bottom.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
It is weird.
Because
Super weird. Yeah. It had a lot of, all the graffiti on the walls, which the other one didn't.
Right.
And,
yeah, it didn't have any.
And, so, I didn't realize it because I hadn't been in the water tower at the time, but man, it's just, the air in there is hotter, feels really stagnant, and I don't know.
I think
I get
for
into my own
you,
head.
I think you were a little anxious too because we were talking about everything as well.
Right.
And then we got in there and the temperature changed and you were just like, something's different. I don't feel right. It's not normal. I need to get out of here.
Yeah, I was like, all right, y'all have fun. I'll be right up here.
And then we left right after that.
Yeah.
I felt weird because I was like, I don't want Micah to think anything, and I don't want Meg to think, like I knew nothing bad was gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I felt like maybe they think I'm a threat still. So let me try to hurry this along. So I was kind of like, and I'm bad at talking to girls. So so I was just like, all right, let's. Well, we got a lot to explore, so let's.
Yeah, I mean,
it was fun, but. So we get up top, we take a 15-minute break. They decide to leave during that. We're like, all right, have fun, be safe, and then from there we get out and we decide to, so at this point we're like, all right, we're done for the day. Let's get some B-roll footage. Let's get some, cinematic footage. Mm-hmm. And we go down, we start getting some cinematic footage. I think we got some cinematic footage on the roof of us walking. And then we go to the stairs, down the stairs to the third or fourth or whatever floor it was. Right. Third floor, I think. And we're getting the footage. I'm setting up, and then out of nowhere, unfortunately, I wasn't recording. Oscar was recording. Out of nowhere, this guy, and I thought because water was dropping constantly through the building, so it just sounded.
It sounds like when you first get in, it sounds like steps. But then it becomes white noise. You get used to it. Yeah, white noise.
You get used to it.
And so you didn't hear the real footsteps.
I didn't hear the real footsteps. I think it was in sync perfectly with the water.
Yeah.
And it happens to be this guy and his dog. And the first thing I see is this guy. And then in my peripheral, it's a dog. And I'm like, just like the biggest deep breath. Like my heart skipped like 4 beats. Like I was like, this is it.
This is it.
I'm ready. Take me, God. And then, the guy happened to be super cool and super nice.
Yeah, didn't even pay any attention to us. Just walked on by. You guys, I forget did he say anything? They're like, oh, we're just exploring.
No.
He's like, oh, okay. And just kept walking.
He didn't say anything. He didn't want anything to do with us.
Yeah. And then his dog just walked on by right behind him.
Didn't even.
Like nothing.
A lot of dogs, they want that attention. I think he was just that dog was like a veteran.
Yeah, that dog's so used to that.
It was just like, whatever.
Yeah, more people.
More people.
So after that heart attack and realizing that we were probably a little too comfortable or we just weren't paying enough attention, that really pulled us back in. Like, okay, we need to pay the fuck attention because we know there's people here.
That got us on
and the sun's going down.
That got us from condition yellow to orange, like bam.
Yeah.
And then, so at this point we're condition orange. We're like, okay, shit. Like, let's not be super cautious. Like something just happened. Something worse could happen. It's getting darker. We haven't explored, 60% of this. We've only explored like maybe 40, maybe even 30, like maybe less than 40,
Yeah.
We explored less than half of this place. So we're like, all right, let's get the rest of the cinematic footage. So we're getting some. We go down to the 3rd floor. So we must have been on the 4th or 5th. So we go down to the 3rd. Mm-hmm. We're getting some cinematic footage, and then we're walking through the hall. And then at this point, we're like super perked up because of what just happened.
Right.
And because it's dark, and we're like, okay, is there anyone here? I'm like, hello. Walking around this corner, and then I see this bike. We haven't seen a bike at all during the entire time we've been there.
Yeah.
And so immediately walking around this corner, I'm like, okay, something's different. This isn't right. What the fuck?
Yeah, the reflective tape got me. I was like, either someone left us here, is coming back, or someone's around and just sleeping.
Like, no one leaves a bike. That's the thing. Like,
yeah.
if someone leaves a bike, it's like it's been like smashed by something, or it's missing like 2 tires or the handlebars, or something's missing. Like, this bike was pristine, and I was like, okay,
it's a little weird.
Someone's here. Yeah, and I'm walking around. I'm like, then we hear the water dropping, and before it was white noise, but now we're just.
Everything's a footstep.
Everything. We're ready to get shot. Like, we're ready to get someone run at us, zombies or freaking anything.
Did we have to spray out at that point? Not yet.
You did. Yeah.
Okay.
No. You didn't. This was before that.
Okay.
Right. This is before that. We didn't have anything. We were just casually walking through.
Yep.
And we see the bike. I'm like, hello, is anyone there? No one says anything. So we're like, okay, maybe it's just a bike. Maybe they're not here right now.
Right.
So keep walking. And I'm like, I wonder if that bike, and then the second I say bike, there's these 2 doors right next to us. And this guy steps out and looks right at us. And we're not going to go into it, but if there was any point in my life I thought it was over, it was right then. I had no reaction time. He could have had anything in his hand. He could have done anything he wanted to.
Gotcha.
I would have had no response time, no reaction time, because it was just so quick and so fast.
Yeah.
And even Oscar couldn't have done anything.
I was like, we're walking by.
All I could say was, oh shit. I was just like,
you're like, oh shit. And I was like,
oh shit.
Oh shit. And I was just like, we're just passing by. Okay.
All right, yeah. So let's not go into that. Let's save that for
But nonetheless, it caught us. It caught us a little by surprise for sure.
And so that goes to say, when you're exploring, there's sort of this like scale. Like, you want to have fun, but you want to be safe. And I think we did everything right there. We were on alert. Maybe the one thing we did wrong was we should have had the pepper spray ready. Maybe that was the one thing. Maybe we should have. But here's the thing. There were so many doors. There were so many ways from at which point, like, whatever.
Yeah.
We were ready. We weren't quite as ready as we could have been. but people make mistakes.
Yeah.
We learn from it, and we absolutely have learned from it. But also, there's this, like I said, there's this scale, and there's at points which you can have fun, and points which you need to be serious. And sometimes it can be hard to tell the difference when you're switching from having fun and being serious, or being serious and having fun.
Well, I think I touched on that a little bit in the last podcast with the drug den. I mean, we do this to have fun. You know, to enjoy ourselves and to see stuff that normal people don't see day to day. And so it's hard for us, like you said, to kind of gauge at which moment to, you know, crank it up a few notches. And I can't blame us for that. I don't think there was a precedence in that moment set for we need to be completely on guard. I mean, I know we had the homeless guy with the dog walking by, but it was just so passive, and we had it. I don't know. I don't think the standard was quite there. But, yeah, like you were saying, you know, at a certain moment, you know, you have to kind of be in a middle ground where you can go from A to B, you know, alert or relaxed, you know, and it's hard at times, really hard at times.
I think we were so close to being on point that the smallest correction needed to be made was when we were feeling sketched out, we just need to be more prepared to defend ourselves in that moment.
Right.
And the only advice I could give for ourselves was we should have had the pepper spray ready. That was it. Because we were ready to like tackle somebody or run or fight somebody. We were ready to do that. We just didn't have the means of incapacitating someone as good as pepper spray would have.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we were making ourselves known. We were making sure we weren't spooking anybody, so they felt the need to defend themselves, who were caught off guard. I mean, we were talking out loud.
Yeah.
So I think you're
loud.
right. I think you're 100% correct on that. Yeah, we weren't.
So I think that leads perfectly, and I know I'm sure you want to hear more, which you'll see in the video that drops 3 days from now. 3 days from now, the new video is going to drop. You're going to see everything that happens, and then we will talk more about that when the time comes.
Yep. Absolutely.
So much. So if you thought the previous video, which was, I think it was docked Navy ships, docked U.S. Navy ships, the part 1, then this next video is going to blow it out of the park. I wish I would have included it, but it was just so much footage, and I want to make sure we're not overloading people with footage.
Yeah.
We're a really small channel, and it really doesn't help us at this point. Maybe some point in the future, you know, we'll be able to release bigger episodes, but right now, it's not working that way.
Yeah, we like to give you guys bite-sized pieces that aren't overloading, you know, where you just got 15, 20 minutes at the end of the night, you know, you're trying to relax, unwind after the end of a long day. And we want you to, you know, enjoy it, but be able to watch it in an amount of time that's convenient for you. That being said, you know, when we do drop this part 2, we're going to come back and drop 1 and 2 together as one video.
Right.
To give you the full scope of things back to back, and we'll take.
Right, we want you to be able to see everything played out all the way through. That way, if maybe you've seen it before, but you want to see it all together and not have to worry about the little, you know, intermission and that kind of stuff, you can see it all the way through. Or if you haven't seen it already, you can just watch the whole thing.
Yep.
And it's just a more like
Fluid.
a more immersive experience where you're there the whole time and you see everything.
And it's just fluid straight through.
Right.
And I'd also like to note, you know, this part 2 that's going to drop here in the next few days, definitely tune in and watch it, guys. It's completely different from any other video that we've done thus far. I was just reviewing the final cuts that Chuck here finished up on. And I have to say, it's one of my favorite videos. It sucked me in. It's a little bit different than what we've done in the past with elements that we have done at the same time, but it's just so unique. It's one of the first of its kind on this channel, and I'm stoked to watch it when it comes out.
All I can say, because it was one of my favorites too, and I'm not just saying that because it's going to be the newest video that you will have seen.
Yeah.
Because there are sort of other videos that we do that aren't as big. This one is the biggest and most important video that we've done because it shows a side of us that we've never shown before.
It's completely different. And
it's so interesting, entertaining, on edge, like experience that we've ever had. And I'm only a little annoyed because it's a part 2.
Yeah.
But in the full version, it'll be great.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want you to think that because we're excited about it.
Yeah.
means we're just trying to promote the channel.
No.
Like, of course we want our videos to do good.
Right.
But this video is so unique to us.
Yeah.
All I can say about it, without giving away too much, is what happened at the end of part 1 is the main theme of what happens through part 2.
Right.
We saw a homeless man pop out of a door, and part 2 is about homeless people. So that's all I'm going to say without getting too far into it. But
yeah,
it was in abandoned military base at night next to 2 active Navy ships, and the reason I'm putting it in quotations is for a reason.
Yeah.
And we met homeless people, and the title of the video, Mission Impossible, will give you everything you need to know. It was insane. I'm so excited. Anyway,
yeah,
I didn't take too much more of your time. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Chuck and Oscar with the official Condition Orange podcast.
Yep.
Have a good night, a good afternoon, and a good morning, and we'll see you next time.
Oscar 6. It's starting to collapse.
Lord, protect us.
looks like blood. Now we know we're not alone. Sounds like somebody's screaming. Ringing the bell. Some craziness. Here goes, Daddy. Woo! Okay, no. That's police right there. Let's get the fuck out of here.